Welcome to NCIO 3 Learning Hub.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Today we are entirely erasing whatever old image of cybersecurity you have resting in your head.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, we aren't talking about slow computers or, annoying pop-up ads.
Yeah.
Or like a virus that just makes your typing lag.
Right. Those days are long gone.
Yeah, we are stepping onto an invisible, high-stakes battleground. And if you are joining us here, you know that NCIO 3 is a completely free, open study environment.
Built specifically for every Nigerian student.
Exactly. Whether you're deep into your preparations for your WAEC, NECO, or JAMB exams, this space was conceived and built by Olatunbosun.
The digital alchemist.
The digital alchemist himself, yeah. To ensure that high-level education has absolutely no barriers. And the stakes for today's module, they could not be higher.
Not at all.
We're dealing with self-directing AI tools, massive ransomware networks, and just the silent, instantaneous theft of millions of passwords.
It's terrifying, really.
It is. So our mission today is to equip you with the essential mental frameworks to survive this digital battlefield. We're looking at cybersecurity fundamentals, the CIA Triad, and the Parkerian Hexad.
The gravity of this, it really cannot be overstated. We're looking at a landscape where threats evolve faster than human reflexes.
Faster than we can even blink.
Literally. When we talk about cybersecurity today, we are talking about the structural integrity of modern society.
Wow.
Yeah. And to defend against something as sophisticated as, say, an automated polymorphic network attack.
Which sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, by the way.
It does. But to fight that, we first have to strip everything down to the fundamental laws of data protection. We need a diagnostic lens.
Like a baseline rule book.
Exactly. Every single professional in this field, whether they're guarding a local university database in Lagos or securing the core infrastructure of a multinational bank, they all rely on a foundational blueprint.
To kind of categorize the threats as they come in.
Precisely, to categorize and understand them. And this blueprint is known as the CIA Triad. That stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability.
Okay, so CIA Triad. Confidentiality, integrity, availability. We have to start by looking at those three pillars individually, right? Because we need to understand how they actually function under the hood.
Let's do it.
So confidentiality is the first one. And, it's tempting to just think of it as keeping a secret. Like whispering in class.
Right, but it goes much deeper than that.
It does. It's this active mathematical logical process of keeping information like your bank details, your private medical records, direct messages, keeping all of that entirely inaccessible to unauthorized entities.
Yes, it operates heavily on access control.
Right. It isn't just hiding the digital vault. It is ensuring that even if someone finds the vault, the cryptographic locks on the door will only yield to the exact verified key held by an authorized user.
And if that vault door opens for anyone else, the pillar collapses. Confidentiality is gone.
Poof, gone.
Exactly. Now, the second pillar, integrity, shifts the focus from secrecy to accuracy and completeness.
Okay, accuracy.
Yeah. Integrity means that the data remains absolutely mathematically unaltered from its original state. It cannot be modified, corrupted, or deleted in transit or in storage.
Unless an authorized entity explicitly initiates that change.
Right, exactly. And this is often enforced through hashing algorithms, which are essentially a digital fingerprint for a file.
A digital fingerprint, I like that.
So if even a single comma is altered in a 1,000-page legal document, the file's fingerprint completely changes.
Oh, wow. Just a comma.
Just a comma. And that instantly flags that the integrity has been shattered.
That is incredibly precise.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the third pillar, availability. And this feels like the operational reality check.
How so?
Because a perfectly locked down, perfectly unaltered piece of data is entirely useless if the authorized user cannot access it when they need it.
You're entirely right.
Yeah, so availability ensures that the hardware, the software, and the network channels are actually functioning, that they're resilient against disruptions.
And we see availability targeted constantly in things like distributed denial of service or DDoS attacks.
Oh, yeah. You hear about those all the time.
Right. An attacker commands thousands of infected computers to flood a server with fake requests, all at the exact same millisecond.
So the server just gets utterly overwhelmed.
Totally overwhelmed trying to answer the fake traffic, which means legitimate users are locked out.
Okay, so let's map these three pillars to a scenario that hits close to home for anyone navigating the educational system here.
Okay, lay it on me.
Imagine the entire digital infrastructure of a major exam board. say for JMB.
High stakes right there.
Right. If an attacker manages to slip past the firewall and scrape the database of examiners' private login credentials, the wall of secrecy falls. That is a massive confidentiality breach.
Completely. Unauthorized strangers are now holding the keys to the kingdom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the initial breach is usually just the foothold, right? Like once they hold those credentials, they pivot.
They absolutely pivot.
Because if they use those stolen logins to enter the database and actually manipulate the data, say artificially inflating exam scores or wiping out registration records, they are no longer just looking at the data. They are rewriting reality.
The trustworthiness of the entire grading system just evaporates.
Right, which means integrity is completely destroyed. And finally, if it is the absolute last day to register for JMB, with just hours left before the deadline.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
And those attackers deploy a DDoS attack that crashes the main registration portal. The students are helpless. The servers are offline. That is an availability nightmare of epic proportions.
It paralyzes the entire operation. Students can't register. The system is useless.
Exactly.
You know, this triad gives us a highly precise vocabulary to diagnose the specific harm in a digital crisis.
That's like a triage system at a hospital.
Precisely. When an alarm goes off in a security operations center, the first question isn't just what happened. The question is, which of the three pillars just fell? It turns panic into actionable analysis.
But looking at the CIA triad, keeping things secret, keeping things accurate, and making sure we can access them, I mean, it feels comprehensive at first glance.
It does. It really does.
Right. Like if you have those three locked down, it seems like you have built an impenetrable fortress. But attackers are relentlessly innovative.
Very true.
There has to be a blind spot and relying solely on those three dimensions.
There is. And discovering this blind spot changed the entire security industry.
Really?
Yes. Because the CIA triad was brilliant for its time, but it assumes a somewhat traditional physical worldview of theft.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Well, imagine an attacker quietly slipping into a corporate network. They locate a highly sensitive proprietary database.
Okay, they find the gold.
Right. Now, they do not delete the original files, so availability is perfectly intact. And they do not alter or corrupt a single byte of the original data. So integrity is completely preserved.
Check.
You wake up the next morning, you log in, and your data is sitting exactly where you left it.
They made a perfect silent copy.
Didn't they? They did. They exfiltrated the data to their own servers in the middle of the night.
Wow. Okay, so confidentiality is certainly broken, but the dynamic of the theft kind of falls outside the neat boundaries of the original triad.
Exactly. You still have your data, but you no longer exclusively control it.
That's wild.
Yeah, this realization that digital assets can be duplicated without being destroyed led security architects to expand the model.
And that expansion gave us the Parkerian Hexad.
Yes. A hexa meaning 6 parts. It retains confidentiality, integrity, and availability, but introduces 3 crucial new dimensions: possession, utility, and authenticity.
Okay, possession is a fascinating concept to introduce because it maps directly to that silent copying scenario we just talked about.
It does.
Possession, or control, is about who physically or logically holds the data at any given moment. Like if a disgruntled employee downloads a school's entire financial ledger onto an external flash drive.
And just walks out the front door.
Exactly. The school hasn't lost the data, but they have lost exclusive possession. The asset is now sitting in someone's pocket, entirely outside the organization's security perimeter.
And once possession is lost, the organization is largely at the mercy of whoever holds the drive.
Which is terrifying.
It is.
Right.
Now, the second new dimension, utility, is incredibly subtle. It addresses the actual usefulness of the data.
Okay, I have to admit, utility feels like it overlaps heavily with availability.
How so?
Well, if I have the file and I can click on it, it's available. Doesn't that inherently make it useful?
Not in the context of modern cryptographic attacks. Let's look at the mechanism of a ransomware infection.
Okay.
Your files are sitting securely on your local hard drive, so you have exclusive possession. The network is up, so you have availability. You can clearly see the icon for your crucial thesis document sitting right there on your desktop.
Okay, so far so good.
But a malicious script has swept through the system and mathematically scrambled the contents of that file using military-grade encryption.
Oh.
And you do not have the decryption key. So when you double-click the document, it opens. But instead of words, you see thousands of pages of meaningless randomized symbols.
So the data is physically there, But its format has been weaponized against me.
Exactly. The file exists, but its utility has been reduced to absolute zero. It is operationally useless.
Wow. That distinction makes perfect sense. The data isn't missing, it's broken.
Exactly.
But I want to push back on the third new dimension, authenticity.
Okay, go ahead.
How is authenticity conceptually different from integrity? Like, if someone sends me a fake, malicious email, the integrity of that communication is inherently bad, isn't it? Why do we need an entirely separate pillar just to describe something being fake?
It is a vital distinction in surviving highly sophisticated social engineering.
Okay, break it down for me.
Integrity is strictly about transit and storage. It asks a mechanical question. Were the digital bytes of this file altered between the moment it left the sender and the moment it arrived on your screen?
So if no bytes were altered, integrity is fine.
Right. If the answer is no, the integrity is mathematically perfect. But authenticity asks an entirely different human-centric question.
Which is?
Is the entity that originated this data genuinely who they claim to be?
So integrity is about the package and authenticity is about the sender.
You've got it. Consider the mechanism behind an AI-driven deepfake attack.
Oh, those are getting so common now.
They really are. An attacker scrapes hours of public audio, maybe podcast interviews or keynote speeches from a regional bank manager.
Okay.
They feed that audio into a machine learning model, training the AI to perfectly replicate the manager's cadence, tone, and inflection.
This is already sounding like a nightmare.
It gets worse. The attacker then generates an urgent voice message instructing a junior employee to wire funds to an offshore account. The attacker sends this audio file directly to the employee's phone.
Oh, man. And when we run that through the Hexad, the audio file hasn't been corrupted in transit. There are no missing packets.
Nope.
So the file's integrity is flawless.
It is a perfectly intact audio file. But the human being supposedly speaking those words is a digital phantom.
A digital phantom. That gives me chills.
Right. The origin of the file is a malicious algorithm, not the bank manager. The authenticity is completely zero. But the employee receives a perfectly clear, perfectly intact, entirely fraudulent command.
That completely redefines how we have to scrutinize digital interactions. I mean, we can't just trust that a file isn't corrupted. We have to constantly verify the true origin.
Constant verification is the only way.
So now we have the full Parkerian Hexad.
Yeah.
Confidentiality, integrity, availability, possession, utility, and authenticity. 6 interconnected pillars.
The complete framework.
But what happens when an attacker actually strikes? Because looking at these 6 dimensions, it seems highly unlikely that an attacker just gently taps one pillar and walks away.
Oh, they never do.
Right. If they knock down one, the others must be structurally compromised.
They absolutely are. Modern cyberattacks are rarely isolated, single variable events. They are engineered to be cascading structural failures.
Like a domino effect.
A devastating domino effect across the entire Hexad. Let's dissect a life or death scenario to see the mechanics of this in action.
Okay, all right.
We will look at a targeted ransomware attack on a major hospital network right in the middle of a busy shift.
Wow. The stakes are quite literally human lives in that scenario.
Exactly. The attack begins with a single phishing email that tricks an administrator into giving up their login credentials.
Just one click.
Just one click. Immediately, the attackers establish possession of a foothold in the network. They deploy their payload, which snakes through the system.
What's the first thing people notice?
The first noticeable impact. All the monitors at the nurses' stations go black, displaying a ransom note. The staff are suddenly locked out.
Oh, God.
They cannot pull up patient histories, surgical schedules, or severe medication allergies.
At that exact moment, availability is totally decimated. The system is paralyzed for the very people who need it to keep patients alive.
And while the staff are panicking, the ransomware executes its primary function in the background. It systematically locks every database using complex cryptographic algorithms.
Which instantly destroys utility. Even if an IT tech manages to find a localized backup file on a severed hard drive, they can't read it? It is encrypted, scrambled garbage data.
Precisely. But the sophistication of modern ransomware gangs goes a step further.
What else could they do?
Before they triggered the encryption, they spent days quietly exfiltrating, copying, and downloading the entire patient database to their own hidden servers on the dark web.
Oh. So the wall of secrecy falls. Confidentiality is severely breached because highly sensitive medical records are out in the wild.
Yep.
And the hospital has lost exclusive possession. because the attackers now control a mirrored copy of the entire system.
You're tracking perfectly. And as a final meticulous step, the automated script hunts down the hospital's internal server logs.
Wait, the digital paper trail?
Exactly. The record of who logged in, what time they accessed the network, and what files they touched. The script wipes those logs clean, replacing them with randomized data to cover the attacker's tracks.
Corrupting the historical record deliberately ruins integrity. It is a total system collapse. In a matter of minutes, a single coordinated attack has systematically decimated 5 of the 6 pillars of the Hexad.
It's terrifying because of the sheer scale and automation involved.
The automation is what makes it so lethal. But, it is crucial to recognize that you don't need to be facing a state-sponsored hacking syndicate with polymorphic malware to experience a complete Hexad collapse.
That's a very good point.
That is exactly what stands out to me. The underlying principles apply just as rigidly to basic, low-tech human errors.
Give me an example.
Let's take this entirely out of the theoretical realm of hospital servers. Imagine a student who just finished a massive semester-long project.
Okay, we've all been there.
Right. They save the only copy of this vital assignment onto a standard physical flash drive. They're rushing to catch a bus in the rain, they reach for their phone, and the flash drive slips out of their pocket and falls into the street.
Heartbreaking.
The second that piece of plastic hits the pavement, the student has a massive possession issue. Someone else could pick it up.
It is the most common, fundamental breach of security. Physical loss.
Exactly. And because the student didn't bother to set a password on the drive or mathematically encrypt the files, that dropped drive instantly transforms into a confidentiality breach.
Oh, absolutely. Whoever picks it up can plug it into any laptop and read every single word.
Furthermore, because it's out of the student's control, the finder could easily open the document, change a few paragraphs of the research, and save it. So integrity is immediately suspect.
That's a brilliant way to look at it. You don't need a dark web syndicate to compromise the Hexad. You just need a hole in your pocket and a lack of basic digital hygiene.
Exactly. The mechanism of vulnerability is identical, whether we are talking about a dropped flash drive or a compromised power grid. The pillars fall the exact same way.
They really do. Which brings us to the macro level. Why is this suddenly the dominant conversation?
Right, because a lost assignment is a disaster for one student, but we are seeing this discussed as a major boardroom issue, like a massive global and national security focus.
It has escalated to the boardroom because these 6 principles now form the thin, fragile line between a functioning modern society and total systemic gridlock.
Gridlock. That's a strong word.
But it's accurate. In Nigeria and globally, we no longer rely on massive rooms full of paper ledgers and physical filing cabinets.
No, everything is digital now.
Everything. The infrastructure of daily life. The banks processing our currency. The schools managing our education. The hospitals dispensing our medicine. The power grids lighting our cities runs entirely on interconnected digital systems.
Wow, when you list it all out like that.
It's staggering. A tiny breach in one of these nodes doesn't just mean a technician needs to reboot a server. It leads to critically delayed public services.
It leads to devastating financial fraud and multi-million-dollar ransom payouts.
Yes. Ultimately, it shatters the fundamental currency of society, public trust.
Public trust, that's the real casualty, isn't it?
Always. If citizens cannot trust that a financial institution has the integrity and authenticity to securely manage their life savings, the entire economic system begins to fracture.
The societal impact is immense, but we have to bring this back to the individual.
Sure, let's do that.
For the person sitting at their laptop right now or listening on their phone, how do we practically defend these 6 pillars?
Well, there are tools.
Because we hear constant reminders about best practices, right? Using strong passwords, enabling multi-factor authentication, using encryption, maintaining offline backups, and installing firewalls.
Yes, all of those.
But I will admit, I used to view that entire list as just a series of annoying IT chores. Like, changing a password feels like an administrative hassle.
That is the mental shift that has to occur. When you understand the mechanisms behind these tools, they cease to be chores. They are the literal armor guarding the Hexad.
Armor? I like that. Let's look at the mechanics of multi-factor authentication, or MFA.
Let's do it.
When a system asks you to type in a code generated on your phone, it is not just adding a step to annoy you, it is mathematically proving your authenticity.
Exactly. A password only proves that someone knows a secret word, But by requiring a time-based cryptographic code from an app on your personal phone, the system forces the user to prove they also physically possess a secondary hardware device.
Oh, even if an attacker steals your password, they cannot replicate the physical possession of your phone.
Right, so MFA holds up the authenticity and possession pillars simultaneously.
Okay, that makes the extra 5 seconds completely worth it.
Totally worth it.
And encryption works the same way. It isn't just a setting to toggle, it's a mathematical scrambling of the data.
Yes. Yeah.
So even if the attacker breaches the network and steals the files, destroying the possession pillar, the utility of that data remains at zero for them because they don't have the key to unscramble it.
Precisely. And what about offline, immutable backups? They aren't just taking up server space.
Where are they doing that?
They are an air-gapped guarantee of availability and utility. If a ransomware script torches your primary network, you simply wipe the infected machines and restore the pristine data from the backup.
So the attacker's leverage evaporates entirely.
Entirely. They have nothing to hold over you.
It makes everything feel incredibly purposeful. You aren't just clicking buttons, you are actively engineering your own digital fortress.
And beyond the software tools, there is a concrete, daily cognitive habit you must cultivate. It is the strongest defense mechanism you possess.
Okay, what is it?
Whenever you receive an unusual digital stimulus, an urgent email demanding a password reset, an unexpected text message with a tracking link for a package you didn't order, or a voice note from a superior that sounds slightly rigid, do not let your human instinct to react take over.
You must pause.
You must pause
Dagger.
and consciously map that stimulus to the hexad before your finger hits the mouse or the screen.
Run the mental diagnostic check.
Exactly.
Ask yourself, if I click this embedded link, am I unknowingly downloading a script that will compromise my possession of this device?
Perfect.
Is the sender's authenticity mathematically verified, or am I just relying on the fact that the email address looks somewhat familiar?
Yes.
Could executing this attachment fundamentally alter the integrity of my operating system? Making that pause a biological reflex is how you survive.
It is the only way to operate safely.
Let's synthesize this. We have unpacked a tremendous amount of structural logic today.
We really have.
If you want to distill this entire complex module into a framework you can use every single time you open a digital device, it comes down to memorizing 2 sets of essential diagnostic questions.
Right.
First, you anchor yourself with a CIA triad. Ask yourself, is this data fundamentally secret? Is it mathematically correct and unaltered? And is it reliably available?
And to illuminate the modern blind spots, you immediately follow up with the Parkerian Hexad.
The expanded view.
Ask the 3 expanded questions. Who actually logically controls this data? Is the origin of this communication genuinely authentic? And is the data in a format that retains its utility?
If you internalize those 6 questions, you are no longer a passive user.
Yeah.
You are analyzing the environment with the exact same structural logic as a seasoned cybersecurity architect.
As you build that mental armor, we have to address a chilling reality regarding the future of this battlefield.
Okay, lay it on me.
We just emphasize the absolute necessity of the human pause, taking those vital seconds to run the Hexad checklist before you click.
Yeah, the biological reflex.
But consider the operational mechanics of modern artificial intelligence. An AI doesn't need to pause. It operates on an automated loop of observation and action that executes in microseconds.
Oh, wow.
If AI-driven malware can now map a network, identify a vulnerability, bypass authenticity checks using real-time dynamic deepfakes, and deploy a polymorphic payload that changes its own signature faster than traditional defenses can recognize it, all in the span of a millisecond.
The sheer speed of that is terrifying. It outpaces human cognition entirely.
It raises the ultimate question for the next decade of digital survival.
Which is?
If an attacker's AI can launch a coordinated, cascading strike across all 6 pillars of the Hexad faster than a human analyst can even read the first alert log, how long until human reflexes are simply obsolete?
It's a really heavy thought.
Are we rapidly entering a paradigm where the time it takes a human to ask those 6 questions becomes our greatest critical vulnerability? To survive an ecosystem where attacks move at the speed of light, we may soon have no choice but to hand the keys to our digital defenses entirely over to our own autonomous AI, simply to fight the machines on their own timescale.
That is an incredibly intense, almost dystopian thought to sit with.
Could it?
And it proves exactly why understanding this fundamental architecture is so critical right now.
You have to know the rules before the machines take over the game.
Exactly. You have to deeply structurally understand the pillars you are trying to protect before you can figure out who or what is going to protect them in the future. Remember, this entire module is available for you to review, study, and master right here. Continue your self-paced journey on NCIO 3. Keep analyzing the hidden mechanics of the digital world around you, and never stop asking those 6 questions. Keep building your armor.